Oh, this is what it was. Crispy mentioned this to me the other day. We didn't spend very much time up here, guys. I mean, it looks like we did, that we were like, oh, Hex was 50 cents. Hex was 40 cents. Dude,
30
we were
days,
above 30 cents for how many days?
60 days, maybe something like that.
You might as well just erase all this data up here. So from the point that we went above 17 cents, by the way, which happened because of the PulseChain sacrifice and the hype behind it. You take away the PulseChain sacrifice, you don't get the run up to 50 cents. So, I mean, really, Hex should have never even crossed like a lot of these lines. Like, let's see. I mean, this, for all intents and purposes, this data here, not many people got into that. There was maybe 10,000 hexagons back then, and most of them sold before the big pump. Okay. This is like really where, in my opinion, where value is for Hex, is inside of here. Anything above this around like 2 cents, it was luck, right? I mean, you could maybe extend that up to maybe into here around 5-7 cents. I think I went back and I said that all this action up here, people talk about Hex at 8 cents, 10 cents, 12 cents, 30 cents, 40, 50. Like, this is just such a blink of an eye in time. We were over that for about a year. We were above 10 cents or fluctuating above that level for 330 days ish. Or maybe you want to say it was about 320 days. And so, like, in terms of investing, like, that's not where fair value is. That's just where like peak euphoria was. So I think, we're just resetting the base. I mean, of course, you're looking at the EHEX chart here. You got to think PHEX plus EHEX is probably somewhere around here. Let me make that a big thick line. So this is where the combined Hex price is right now, sitting on top of support, 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 and then, ignore EHEX here for a second. This is where we're at. It's right on that long-term support line. So we're at a floor right now before this next bull market for Hex really kind of kicks off. And I think, Crispy, please, you can add on to that too about just how short of amount of a time we were really up in these levels. And so you can't really say that that's what it's worth. That's just what euphoria took us to.
Yeah, I agree with that too, man. It's surprising because I remember it differently from being out there. And then I did another analysis last night that very, very general, right? The price has been higher. Combined Hex price has been higher 80% of the time than it is now, and lower 20% of the time. So excellent Pareto. I was like, there's no way this came out to 80-20. Yeah, 80-20.
Wow.
I mean, pretty damn close. Maybe it's a 0.5% off or something. But meanwhile, we talk about adoption, people coming in. These are addresses, but on the PulseChain side, it hasn't paused, man. Staking rolled over. You can actually see on the charts that staking rolled over. Nice rounded chart. But as far as holders on PulseChain, up and to the right. So somebody believes in the speculation, right? Because that's what's going on. People speculating. Maybe they think Sack Daddy's going to buy, and then the prices will go up. Maybe they think other people are going to buy. So yeah, I mean, it's continued to go on and up into the right in terms of the number of wallets holding that Hex. And yeah.
Before we wrap up here in a minute, just wanted to ask you, I think this is probably an important question for people out there who are, debating. They've been in the community for a while, or maybe they're just new too, but what are people today? What are you betting when you're buying Hex? You're buying Hex, and maybe separate buying Hex versus staking Hex today. What are you betting on? What are you doing when you do that?
Oh, I think you're betting on the success of PulseChain, because in any event, you got that $500 million market cap, which could balloon to like a $50 billion market cap again easily, especially with any little bit of adoption and green candles on Pulse and Ink and PulseX. I mean, it's just going to ride up. And if you were here pre-fork, you got, Hex on both chains still, if you didn't dump them. And I just think that, you know, you kind of just stake it long, and you count on this PulseChain being like a battleground that people build on, right? And you get tons of kind of new cool stuff getting built every day on this chain. You can't ignore all that anymore. That's happening. There's real building happening here, and real price appreciation happening.
So the onboarding conversation is like, hey, look at this chain, look at PulseChain. New chain hasn't had a real pump yet. Let's talk about data around that.
This is what happened when Richard said he's going to compete with the SEC, and we went up 4x in 2 months, and it was like just easy pump, and I mean everyone felt euphoric, and that was just like a test pump, you come back in now, you're buying in at a time when it's looking good to base out here. I don't really think we need to go too much lower on pulse price, because we didn't really touch on that, but so much as if you're a Hexagon now, you really have to kind of up your skills and your game a little bit and pay attention to more coins than just one, which that might be one of the reasons why there's been a lack of interest in Hex, is because they thought the game was going to be buy and stake Hex and wait, which will still work, but then just don't even look at it or complain about it. Just come back later. And that's why there's probably low activity and engagement in it right now. Twitter, I don't see anything, no Hex tags on Twitter anymore. I don't get any of that coming across my feed at all.
I use Lunar Crush, and I still sort by Pulse and Hex, and I still see some. I mean, it's definitely, I think PulseChain tag is I imagine more popular, but I still see some. But it's not. It feels like it's not this like pure Hex data like we used to see. Not a lot of that, not as much as we used to see. So it's like that, and they're like, okay, what is Hex? And you're like, oh well, let me show you this T-shirt chart, and then oh wow, look at if before it was so expensive and now it's cheap, and and then Hex Scout has a great onboarding process on there too for that stuff. So at least we have some tools.
The stream probably sounded kind of bearish, but it really wasn't. It was actually bullish, and the positive spin on it is that Hex is probably going to go to a few dollars at a minimum this cycle, and you're waiting. It's just the same game you've always been doing. If you're a staker, you're just waiting and rolling stakes probably, or at this point you're probably not selling down here, so you're just waiting for the rest of the market to catch up. Here's the pulse chart. Look at back here in October where the volume trended down. We're basically repeating that out where volume is trending down, and these declining volumes always precede a massive breakout. And Richard said look for July 8th, which is here. So maybe we'll come back and revisit when Crispy and I are in Europe, and we'll see what happens. But we could potentially be seeing a big breakout occurring in July or August. Those are typically good months for crypto, and we're getting this declining volume coming into a pump, just like we did here, just like we did here. This was declining volume to a lesser extent into a big pump, but really what I want you to pay attention to is this particular period here, because it's setting up the exact same way once again. And all you did this time was you got rid of the Nick Cherries, infamous old Hex and Pulse dumper, took millions out of the ecosystem and left. You got rid of these kinds of guys that were just predatory, malicious dumpers that just wanted they put a low input cost in a long time ago, and they extracted like tens or hundreds of X the value out of it. We needed a lot of that out so that it wasn't going to hold us back on every pump forever. And I think we're getting to the end of the road on that stuff. So, and you can see it by the declining volume here.
Soon.
Oh, and then Hex. Hex is fine. It's still up and potentially going to make a higher low against Pulse. So you'd want to see some sort of a reversal here within the next 2 months against Pulse. And then when it moves quick. So you could see something like this where it bleeds, like it bleeds against Pulse, bleeds. And then it goes flat, and then boom, you're gonna get a huge pump, and you're gonna get a lot of Pulse value for doing that. So there's always a way to wash your money in and out of Hex and Pulse if you're liquid, or you can just buy the lows and the dip when it bleeds down, and look for the inflection point. Right now, the inflection point here on the RSI is this 30 level. That's kind of where it likes to turn around. So PX looks good, and EHEX, in my opinion, looks even better. I think just so many hundreds of millions of this stuff has been absorbed by people that want to see it go higher. So it's ranging. It's flat and ranging against Pulse now. So that's promising. I mean, you can just get, what's 100 million of these now? $128,000, which is a lot, but it's not a lot for multimillionaires in crypto. They can buy up, you know, 1% or a tenth of a percent of the supply for almost nothing.
Godwell,
So,
where Godwell, Dev?
yeah. So I mean, when this reverses, it's going to reverse hard, right? And that's when you're going to have to worry about getting left behind. But yeah. I mean, I think the charts look really good right now.
I think Richard Hart not wrong about that much stuff. And I think the hashtag before Richard Hart was right has been right about a lot of stuff. But new hashtag, let's get it trending. Richard Hart will be right. That's what we all hope and want to see.
Last comment. I just got to remind John Wallace that the reason why this will go to multi-dollars is because it's bonded. The same reason why you won't see V3 for PulseX is the same reason why HEX will get to $1, because 8 symmetrical liquidity pairings is a pumpamental.